Up, folks, once again, it's your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. This time, though, I'm going to take a different direction. This is not going to be one of my typical hard-hitting, no-holds-barred advice videos where I'm telling you how to navigate the bullshit that we've come to know and hate as rideshare drivers as we navigate our way around the country. This is an inspirational video, and it's basically meant for some of us who feel there may be no light at the end of the tunnel when we're subcontracting for companies that continue to cut the surge, drop fares, reduce bonuses, end streaks, and just simply make our earnings lower and lower the more we work. I've always said it before. I started out $2.20 a mile in my market, and it's now down to a measly 72 cents a mile. But this story isn't about that. Today, we're going to be talking about a driver, Maxwell Frost. You see his picture right there. Maxwell Frost drove part-time in the city of Orlando, an Uber driver, driving rideshare. He is 25 years of age. So what's so special about Maxwell Frost? Well, here's Frost here dancing around. He just was elected as a Democratic member of Congress in a state like Florida. Now, this is not a political video by any means at all. I'm not trying to push politics. You may know I do political videos, but that is not what we're doing here today. Just wanted to say that there is inspiration for us all. I mean, 25 years of age, driving as an Uber driver part-time, and now he's become a member of Congress in Florida. Now, as we know, Orlando, I believe, pays a base rate of about 61 cents a mile. So regardless of what side of the political aisle you may be on, perhaps this guy entering the halls of Congress may be beneficial to us in the gig economy to some way or another. He knows what it's like to not get paid shit. 61 cents a mile base fare in a tourist city like Orlando. There is absolutely no excuse for that. But here we do have Maxwell Frost now becoming a member of Congress, and he has prior experience with the gig economy. So maybe they can, maybe he can try to navigate through Washington and push some rules. Listen, there are areas of this field that could be better for us, such as me mentioning going from $2.20 a mile to 72 cents. The fact is, your pay is totally dependent upon what Uber or Lyft decides to do for their own bottom line. If you're making 90 cents a mile and Uber or Lyft believes that it will help their bottom line to drop your pay to 85 cents a mile, then you're going to be making 85 cents a mile. You're not going to be given any say-so in it at all. You're going to log into the app. There's going to be a terms of service you have to click yes on to continue driving. If you do not click yes, you no longer get trips. You click yes, you make 5 cents a mile less. That is how it has been. We need some type of oversight. If it comes from Congress or, in a form of congressional oversight or some other state legislation, we do need something to protect base fares and what we earn. Fact is, people go out and actually purchase cars, lease cars, rent cars to do this job. And they make these decisions based on projected earning scales. When you're making a decision based on how much you earn, you're not going to factor in, well, I may be making 10% less per mile next week. You just don't do that. But these companies have done that over and over again. As I showed you the video before of a driver arguing with the former CEO, Alan, whatever his last name was, arguing with him, saying that, you cut the pay for Uber Black from $20 down to $2 or something like that. When he was purchasing vehicles, because he said he was bankrupt and he lost $97,000 or something like that, he was making his projected earnings based on $20, not $2. So if we could get more politicians, listen, we all like to drive as independents. We don't want this 1099 world to become W-2. Most of us love the independence of being independent contractors, but we want it to be fair. We want it to be stable. We want it to be somewhat predictable. We can't predict if we're going to get 10 rides today or 20 rides on Saturday. I understand there are variables to that. There's concerts, there's things that close down, things like that no one has control over. But we want to know that if we're making $1 per mile today, we're not going to be making 90 cents per mile tomorrow. That should be predictable. You shouldn't have your fares fluctuating all over the damn place like that. And the ride-sharing companies have a history of doing that. Not to mention, as I talk about sometimes, stealing tips and all kinds of other stuff that just makes absolutely no sense. We want to be able to subcontract with a partner, which is Uber or Lyft. That's who your partner is in this game. We want to be able to subcontract with a partner that we actually can trust. Don't tell me, if I'm getting into this game, that the average driver in my market is making $70,000 a year when they're actually making $30,000. Don't tell me that, I'm going to do this well when in reality there's absolutely no chance of that happening. So I do believe that some form of political, whether it's statewide or federal intervention, just to make the companies more accountable, would probably benefit us all, particularly as drivers. Certainly from the level of transparency. There should be a max capped on how much the ride-sharing companies can take from in terms of percentage of the fares. You should not have to drive anywhere for 20% of the fare, 30% of the fare, 40% of the fare. Yet that happens every day all over the country. I'm sure many of you have actually talked to passengers, maybe based on the passenger saying, I can't believe going from point A to point B is costing me $12. And when they got out of the car, you saw your cut was $5. So many of you already know that the ride-sharing companies are taking a large portion of the fare. There should be a max on that, period. There should be a max on that unless there's some ridiculous exception that right now I can't even fathom what it would be. But if you're driving somebody 20, 30 miles, and at the end of the day, Uber or Lyft made more out of that fare than you did, how can that be? And why don't you know that ahead of time? These are the things that I believe that maybe a politician of sorts could help us out with, such as the moment the passenger gets out of the car, instead of you as a driver being told how much you made, there could be a quick screen that flashes up that shows how much everyone made, how much the driver paid, what is the cut to Uber or Lyft, and what is your take. And if they want to help out the drivers more, they could even project how much money you should put aside in taxes based on that ride, whatever. But the transparency is what they need to excel and need to get better in. Right now, there's no transparency when you drive for ride sharing. Like I said, it's even up to the point where they were able to steal tips from drivers, because you don't know. When a passenger gets out of the car, you don't know if they're going to tip you or not. How many of you have had passengers tell you, I'll be sure to leave you a tip, and you waited for something that never came? Now, perhaps the person lied and actually did not tip you, but what about the chances that they did tip you and Uber or Lyft kept it? I had a passenger ask me to go above and beyond, I think to wait on him a couple times or take him somewhere that I didn't want to take him. I make it clear I do not go outside of my area because I don't want to have to drive all the way back empty. Passenger told me, if you do it, I'll give you a big tip or something like that. Gave him 24 hours. I didn't see a tip on the device. I actually called the passenger and told them, listen, we've had a problem with the companies taking tips and things like that. I want to follow up on this. So would you mind telling me the amount you tipped so I can follow up on him? Now, I felt strongly that this guy was on some bullshit and he had not tipped at all. But by calling him, you know how I am. By calling him, I kind of pushed his hand. And he stated, I forgot to do it, and then he tipped me. But if I had not made that phone call, I would not have gotten that tip. So it wasn't that the tip was stolen. It didn't happen. And he claims he forgot, whatever the case may be, but he tipped me like $20 or something. So it was certainly worth the phone call. But what about you guys? That's what I'm asking. Have you had a passenger tell you they were going to tip you, Maybe you went above and beyond. Maybe you carried a bunch of groceries or laundry to their door or laundry to the laundromat, waited on them while they went grocery shopping or something like that, and they actually promised you a tip that didn't happen. Did you do any follow-up? Did you go crazy like what I just suggested? You know, a nice, cordial phone call, letting them know I want to make sure your tip wasn't stolen and I actually got it. Feeling already in the inside of my head that this guy ain't tipped me, but I'm going to call him. And it panned out. I got $20 out of it. What do you guys think? Have you had that happen? Anyway, I don't want to make the video too long, but shout out to Maxwell Frost, a part-time Uber driver. I believe he was even homeless at one point. Generation Z, 25 years of age. He's now a congressperson. Hopefully, he can share his experiences as a gig worker and perhaps promote things with his other fellow brothers and sisters in Congress to maybe make our world a little bit more transparent, fair, and lucrative. What do you guys think? Feel free to subscribe to the channel as always. Click the notification bell so you'll know when I'm dropping these videos. And of course, I'll see you in the next one. It's your boy Tim. Catch you later.